What is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. So the Note 5, when it came out, it was one of the most pretty phones that I've ever seen, and to this day it's actually still, I think, a gorgeous piece of hardware. Unfortunately, it doesn't really get software updates anymore, but you can just tell by looking at it that even at this current day and time, I don't think most people would really laugh at this phone. It's a really good looking phone still. And if Apple can get away with selling things like an 8 Plus to this day, what's wrong with a Note 5? A Note 5 has that similar design, 16:9 display, home button at the bottom, and just look how thin those bezels are off to the left and the right. They're razor thin right here. So still, this design actually kind of looks in line with your standard smartphone today, just nothing groundbreaking like an edge panel display. So I think the design actually held up very well in its past 3 years. So how has the build held up for the Note 9 over the past 3 years? And I gotta say, pretty well. You can see I have a scuff right there, but this solid piece of aluminum around the edges of this phone made it feel pretty much like a tank on the sides. However, having that glass made it feel a little bit scary on the rear. So I definitely always had this one in a case because of the glass. Now, if that was aluminum on the rear, this would have been an absolute tank, but really it's just the sides of this thing that are pretty strong. So if you drop it on a corner and hit the aluminum, you'll be fine. But other than that, I gotta say the Note 5 did scratch up a little bit on the front screen. Not sure if the camera can pick it up or not. I have one over here somewhere. But the display itself did hold up very well. It didn't start to pick up too much fingerprints after a long usage, so I was pretty happy with whatever coating they put on there to avoid fingerprints. And overall, I just got to say that I got a couple scratches in the home button of the Note 5, but I think it held up pretty well. And this is one area, like Samsung or not, they are pretty much killing it, and that is in the hardware. They're actually giving hardware that will last a long time, but software, we're still, even in 2019, not seeing consistent updates for Samsung devices. But I gotta say, over 3 years, I'm very happy with the build quality. Only a couple dings and bruises, nothing too serious on the Note 5. Okay, so when it comes to software, we're running Android 7.0 on here. So we're way back on Nougat times for this phone. Last security patch was April 1st, 2017, and this is why it's pretty much time to say farewell to the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, and why I'm trading it in is because there's really no point in keeping a phone that's not really getting updated anymore. But the software itself is still very functional. It's not super snappy and fast like a lot of the new phones, but it's not slow either. It's actually very usable, and it can still function perfectly fine as a smartphone here for at least your basic tasks, and you can even do some multitasking. It does have 4 GB of RAM after all, so it's not a slow phone by no means at all. It's just not, you know, that Snapdragon 845 blazing fast, everything pops open in an instant. It's not like that, but it's still functional. So the software, plenty of multitasking. The S Pen features are pretty similar to even what you get on current day notes. The notes of the new age are just kind of, you know, refining on a lot of these features. Like in the Note 9, for example, I reviewed that multiple times, but you can still do a lot of your note features on here and just take notes like Note 5. For example, the pen doesn't feel as sharp and as accurate and responsive as the new one, but still, you have plenty of functionality on this device. So if you are watching this video and you actually are considering buying a secondhand Note 5 on the really low, this phone is actually still functional, to be quite honest. You're just not on those security or software updates. So when it comes to performance, the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 is not going to benchmark at, you know, crazy high numbers, anything like that. But having the Samsung Exynos chip in here, I think helped this phone feel faster for me over the long term. Now, the Snapdragon chips have caught up, but at the time the Note 5 came out, I think the Exynos chips were better than the Snapdragon series chips. And this one definitely shows that it's still functional to this day. Like I say, if you open things up, the animations don't seem as snappy as what you see. You see that little delay right there from the newer phones, but again, oh, there goes that. So, you know, it's definitely got a little bit of a hang here and there, but it works. And still, I'm pretty impressed that you can even use this phone, because my Samsung Galaxy S5 is basically unusable. No offense to those people who are using a Galaxy S5. I know they're going to come at me. I'm using an S5 right now and it still works fine. A few of you in the crowd. But still, the Note 5 still works okay. The performance is decent in 2019. Nothing impressive, but still usable, which is essentially the conclusion I have for its overall performance. Multitasking isn't bad either. A couple apps will reload, but 4 gigs of RAM is more than a lot of iPhones even to this day. So when it comes to the camera on the Galaxy Note 5 here, 3 years later, we have 16 megapixel, 2160 4K video. Now, the thing with this camera that has been very improved on the newer Samsungs is low light photography, as well as overall autofocus performance, video stabilization. So there's a lot of improvements that were made in the following years to this phone, but I liked where the quick launch feature was. I liked that it had a nice big 16:9 viewfinder, which is the way you usually see it. We're going towards the 18:9 aspect ratio. Most people are still not viewing it on that, but we're headed towards that path. I think in a couple of years, mostly everybody will be on those newer screen aspect ratios, but at the same time, still pretty good quality here. You can see, you can zoom in and still get a lot of detail on your photos. And honestly, I would just say that you get a little bit of a soft selfie camera on this phone. So definitely not my favorite selfie shooter here, although I did like how wide it was. And I did shoot plenty of vlogs on this phone. If you've been messing with the channel ever since years ago when I did the all-day battery tests on the iPhone series, I used to use this phone all the time to make those before I even was using actual cameras to make the videos on this channel. So it's definitely a phone that's still serviceable as a camera phone here in 2019. Although you're not going to get groundbreaking results, I think you can actually produce some results that people won't even care about the quality. It's still pretty darn good. And that just is a testament to how good Samsung's cameras have been for so long. So up until this point, it's pretty so-so when it comes to the audio on the Note 5, because it sounds okay when you listen to the speaker, but it's easy to cover. And, you know, I really don't like seeing non-dual speakers anymore at this point in the game. So this is an area where you feel its age, because most of all Samsungs now are coming with the Dolby Atmos dual speakers. The micro USB, you're also feeling the age here, because mostly all Samsungs now have USB-C, so you're essentially outdated there. The headphone jack, Samsung has decided to keep that around. Now, some argue that that's outdated as well. I don't agree. I think many people still use headphone jacks. I'm actually using headphone jack right now to listen to the audio while I'm talking to you to make sure it's crispy for the video. So headphone jack headphones are still in use, so that's not really outdated at all. On the whole, the audio is okay when it comes to the speaker. It's just easy to cover, so I wouldn't definitely brag about it. But the headphone jack is a nice touch to still have on the Note 5, and Bluetooth 4.2 doesn't connect quite as fast as the new 5.0. So you can definitely feel a difference in wait time between Bluetooth 4.2 and Bluetooth 5.0 of the modern era. One thing I actually liked about the Note 5 is something a lot of you probably don't even care about, and that's the phone call quality. It was actually pretty good on this phone. I was able to call people and hear them very clearly. So the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, in terms of the battery, was just pretty much trash in my experience. And, you know, it breaks in after a little bit of time, but 3000 milliamp hour with a 5.7 inch 2K display just really doesn't cut it here for the Note 5. So you definitely needed a battery pack, and you definitely needed that fast charger that was included. By the way, fast charging included in the box way back in 2015. Samsung giving the customers what they want for years already. Now, if we place this thing down, we can put this thing on the wireless charger, and you had wireless charging. Now, this is really popular these days. You can find wireless chargers pretty much anywhere, and the Note 5 did that years ago. So even if you bought a secondhand one today, or somebody just handed one off to you, hey, I got an old Note 5, you want to buy it for 50 bucks? This one right here can do some things that brand new phones of 2019 could do. So pretty spec'd out beast here back in its day. And battery just not so great. So my experience with battery, really bad. So if you're buying this, you better have a battery pack. And the last but not least, I wanted to save the best for last, and that is the display for the Note 5. I mean, Super AMOLED 2K panel, 1440p by 2560, a standard resolution. There's no odd resolution. It's 16:9, so very wide display. A lot of people did like that. Just absolutely sharp and gorgeous. Over 500 pixels per inch at 518. The Galaxy S10 that's going to be coming to the channel next week has basically a similar quality sharpness as its display. Now, yes, it's the most color accurate dynamic AMOLED displays ever on the new phones, but still, I mean, this phone is really good when it comes to the display. The sharpness is incredible. You can see very good detail on almost anything you're doing, and actually one of my favorite displays ever existed here for the Galaxy Note 5, and I think a lot of people would agree. This is it, the Galaxy Note 5. We say farewell to it here in this video. We're done. I'm actually trading it in, so you likely will never see videos on the Note 5 again from this channel. It's time to pack it up. It's getting old. Most people aren't really messing with it because there's no software updates anymore. So Note 5, it's been a good run, but it's time to say goodbye. Let me know your thoughts down below. I just want to discuss this one because it actually was one of the most exciting and favorite phones of all time. And it actually did a lot for this channel, believe it or not. Shot so many videos with this phone and people loved the videos that were shot. This phone, even though they didn't know they were being shot on here, they still enjoyed it. So this one I hold close to my heart, but it's time to let go. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe for Galaxy S10 content coming next week. And any other questions, comments, concerns, drop them down below in the comments section. Thank you very much for watching. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well and peace.